Morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Excellent. So I am Jennifer. I'm a CMC board member, and I'm stepping in this morning for Jessica, who had a flood happen yesterday in her house. So she's dealing with the ramifications of that. So welcome all to the Community Meditation Center. I'll just briefly go over our layout and welcome everyone. So we'll have a Dāna, we'll have a sit with Bart, and then we'll have a short pause in between the sit and the Dharma talk. And I'll say a word or two about generosity. And then afterwards, after the Dana talk, and we will have questions and hopefully answers. Uh, but you're invited to join in and share your thoughts and questions and comments in the chat. And we'll have that period where we can, review everything and share our thoughts. And then the last part of our session today will be around noon. We'll wrap up. And then there's an opportunity to continue your practice in small breakout rooms virtually with each other. And it takes a moment when we're done, but then the computer breaks everyone out into groups, and you can turn your mic on and you can talk to other Sangha members. So welcome. And Jessica often has us all wave to each other. So good morning, everyone. And if you are off camera, if you want to pop on and just say hi, there's many waving images in the gallery. Um, and then we often just have folks say hello from wherever they are. And so if you want to just pop in the chat where you're tuning in from, because now that we are virtual primarily, there's people from all over the world. So we have Miami, Rye, New York, Seattle, Washington, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Vermont, Loveland, Colorado, Manhattan, Upper West Side, Portland, Oregon. Ooh, you're up early. From Cologne, Germany. So we are global. So welcome all. And with that, did I get everything, Bart?
Oh, Jennifer, you did so well.
Okay, I'm gonna pass it over to Bart.
Oh, thanks, Jennifer. And welcome everyone. I'm seeing familiar faces. That really kind of has a resonance in my body. Oh, and I saw your message, Betty, about does Jessica need any help? I'll ask her because our executive director, she lives in this beautiful home in New Jersey, and as
Mm.
Jennifer was saying, a pipe burst. Can you imagine your whole living space flooded? Just and then having no power. You just the Buddha had a word for that, dukkha. And so I will text Jessica as soon as we're done that you've offered your help. And Jennifer, you stepped in just an hour ago, and I appreciate you doing that too.
Of course.
And it's really nice to be in community. And today we'll continue our theme of exploring 10 human qualities the Buddha said they are really fit for training. They call the 10 Pāramīs. And we're at number 3. And number 3 is often translated as renunciation or letting go or just stepping out of a habit that's not helpful. And in this talk, we'll explore what the Buddha asked us to do, and that is to familiarize yourself with letting go. He also asked, do you know the rewards of letting go? And so in the guided meditation that we'll have first for about 25 minutes, I was thinking of offering instructions that are really bringing us into the present moment, moment to moment, so that we see that clinging or holding on makes absolutely no sense. And so the first thing I'm going to invite you into is just to see if you're comfortable. All things are of the nature to arise and pass away. Living in harmony with this truth, it brings the greatest peace. I'm going to invite you just to pause and to notice that you have a human body. Maybe taking your time to even appreciate the body. What would kindness do right now? What would it do for the body? Maybe a gentle stretch, moving. Noticing your eyes, if they like to close, keep them open softly. And take your time to let the body settle. And what might happen to the body when you become aware of it? What might happen around the shoulder area if you pay attention? Or the belly? Now notice sounds just for a few moments. Hearing. Impossible to hold on to a sound. Sounds simply appear and disappear. They're like twinkling stars in the night sky. Nothing to do, nothing to have, nothing to be. Just these sounds appearing and disappearing in this vast, empty space we call mind. Opening to body sensations, sensations of touch, temperature, movement. Impossible to hold on to a body sensation. Arising and passing away, like the twinkling of stars in the night sky. Nothing to do, nothing to have, nothing to be. Just these body sensations coming and going in this vast empty space we call mind. Inviting you to open to mental experiences, sensations like thoughts, images, and emotion, a mood, just like sounds. These mental experiences arise and pass away. It's like the twinkling of stars in the night sky. Nothing to do, nothing to have, nothing to be. Mental sensations and thoughts simply arise and pass away in this vast empty space of mind. Impossible to hold on to. As we're shifting in some period of silence, maybe just noticing this experience right now in this moment, changing in the space of mind, in the body. To keep attuning to change. You really take your time. You're on a little mini retreat. in this very moment, it feels like this. What in this moment you allow yourself to not having to do anything, to have anything, or to be anything in a particular way. Letting be, there can be a letting go.
Thank you. Thank you, Bart. So I will carry on the tradition that we have here at CMC to speak a little bit about Dāna, generosity. Um, and first, I just want to welcome anyone who's new and maybe has not been with us to, you know, share in our practice. So welcome. And we are a nonprofit, wholly sustained by the generosity in so many ways of this community, this Sangha. So, first, I just want to say thank you because there's just Bart and Jessica officially uh, employed by the organization. And then there's many, 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 many people who volunteer to support the efforts in ways large and small. So thank you for all of those efforts. And then there's many folks who, on a regular basis, support the organization financially. So thank you as well. Uh, and I just, stepped in at the last minute, and usually Jessica selects a beautiful reading to elaborate the ideas and the concepts of generosity. So I just did a quick search, and it was very interesting kind of what unfolded. And from the Bari Center for Buddhism, which is the organization founded by Sharon Salzberg, Joseph Goldstein, and one other who I've escaped my mind. But what came up through that search is that generosity is the practice of giving aimed at reducing greed, self-absorption, and attachment to foster a malleable heart. And it's also the first of the 10 perfection or Pāramī, which we're studying now. but it's focused on cultivating an open-handed attitude. I thought that was really interesting phrasing, an open-handed attitude, rather than just the material value of a gift. And the other piece that came up was that it's the generosity. It's about the giving, and the other piece of it is the letting go, which is what we're going to be talking more about today. And so the last thing I'll say is that this kind of frames the generosity as there's four types of gifts. And they talk about even offering a smile or a loving gaze or even a calming presence can be a gift. And it can be material, protection, kindness, or Dharma. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to add about generosity and Dāna. And Bart has just dropped into the chat the various ways that you can contribute. And as always, if you would like to volunteer, there's many different opportunities. So there's things that happen behind the scenes online and posting things to the CMC website, which after this talk, the talk is recorded and it will be the audio will be provided so you can listen again on the website. And there's newsletters and there's other kinds of communication, and so there's lots of things that happen behind the scenes to make this weekly gathering possible. So again, thank you to everyone for the generosity of your presence. There's 114 of us here, and that's the Sangha. So we wouldn't exist without you. So thank you. Back to you, Bart.
Thank you, Jennifer. Oh, you know, you're so generous, Jennifer, and stepping up when, there's difficulty in the community. And I loved when you said about this offering of a smile, because as you kept talking, I just kept smiling. And last Thursday, we had a board meeting, and Jennifer offered her space for us to meet for those of us who could make it in person. So we were at Jennifer's table, and then we had a computer on one end, and we were sitting all around that computer. And there were, I think, five of us were at the table, and three or four of us were online. I can't exactly remember. And it really felt good to welcome a new volunteer board member, Al Michelle, who is also now with us with Marsha. I'm waving at you, Al. And it really feels like we're carrying this thing together. And I think that is what generosity is ultimately about. That when we share and when we receive, we're holding something together. And my great, great teacher, Joseph Goldstein, always says, when you take good care of the Dharma and the community, it will take good care of you. And to some of you, just expressing that our executive director, Jessica, has a hard time with her house being flooded, and you offered, can we help? That in and of itself means so much. And I also appreciated, Jennifer, that you connected generosity to our theme. Well done. I think that giving, it's like this. When we learn to let go, we receive the gift of not being attached. So there definitely is this connection. That even in our sharing or releasing or stepping out of something, we actually receive something. And that's what the talk will be about. We'll explore what are the gifts that we get from renunciation, from letting go. And I thought, let's start right there as we pause for a moment. And can you feel for yourself in just this moment into the benefit of letting go? We'll really take our time today with unpacking this teaching. Because, yes, especially with a meditation where I'm really focused on the flow of change, it becomes easier to just be with experience. There's not even an inclination to hold on. And yet we all know that sometimes letting go can be the hardest thing to do. I was walking with our son Lou, who's 12 now, to the basketball court this week. And for some reason, we started to talk about uh, my homework, because my homework is always, coming up with these talks on Sunday. So, what are you writing about, Papa? And I said, letting go. And then as we were walking, he kind of goes, I think the hardest thing to let go of is maybe your house. That's what he said, or your home. Then he asked, what do you think? And I go, wow, I kind of took that for granted, but it did make me think about my friend Asit, that who was a homeless man that I befriended for many years. And actually, one time I asked him, Asit, do you remember when you became homeless? And I was sharing that with Lou. And what Asit said was, I do remember that first night where I knew I couldn't go back to any house. And I spent that whole night on the train in New York, just going back and forth. And he said I was terrified. And then he said that sense of terror stayed with me for quite a while, but it slowly became less. And he said, in a strange way, having gone through this actually makes me feel strong because I know I can handle it. I think so many people right now, all over the world and in this community, are faced with very painful experiences, with loss. And so sometimes maybe letting go is not even the right word. So we'll unpack what the Buddha actually meant. But I want to start with a story. And the story is an interesting one because in this one, the Buddha is talking about a time when he wasn't fully awakened yet. And he's talking to a householder. His name is Tapusa. And he's kind of like us. He's interested in meditation, but he's not a monastic. And Tapusa says to the Buddha that we as householders, we indulge, delight, and we rejoice in sense pleasures. And then he says, and I'm actually quoting him, he says, for us, this renunciation, it seems like a sheer drop off, as if he's going to say, ew. And then the Buddha's response really is interesting because usually he'll be firm, but he goes, Tapusa, even I myself, before my awakening, when I was still unawakened, I thought, renunciation is good, seclusion is good, but my heart did not leap up at renunciation. It didn't grow confident, steadfast, or firm. My heart was letting go, not seeing as peace. But then a thought occurred to me. He said, I have not seen the drawback of sensual pleasures. I haven't pursued that theme. I really haven't understood the reward, the gift of letting go. I just haven't familiarized myself with it. That is why my heart doesn't leap up at renunciation. It doesn't grow confident, steadfast, or firm, and it's not seeing renunciation as peace. And I really liked that he shared about something that I find is very relatable. Yes, in theory, letting go is good. But do I really jump up in the air of like, yay, renunciation? Do you? So the questions I think are helpful, and I'll keep repeating them in this talk several times. Have you familiarized yourself with what it's like to renounce, to release, to step out of something? Do you know the gift of renunciation? And maybe you've already had experiences like a seat was reflecting where actually a sense of confidence did grow after having to let go of something that was so hard to let go of. So here we have already some interesting teachings to work with. And I thought, have I really familiarized myself with it? Let me just dive into the actual word the Buddha was using in his language, Pali. And I found out that it actually is called Nekkhamma, Nekkhamma, Nekkhamma or Nekkhamma. And it's related to the verb to go out or to leave. That's what it literally means, to go out or to leave. And then the Buddhist tradition, it's like it carries both a literal meaning and a psychological meaning. The literal meaning of Nekkhamma is for people who become monastics. And you might know this line of going forth into the homelessness, where lay people decide to become monastics and they release their homes, all their possessions. But I think also for us lay people, we can have that too when we go on retreat. When we release for an X number of hours or days, familiarities, routines, our house too. Or even our little mini retreat that we call our sacred Sunday pause at the Community Meditation Center is a form of retreating. Because if you weren't here, you would be doing maybe more daily activities. So that's the literal meaning. And the more psychological meaning is that it's about the stepping out of habits, and especially stepping out of clinging and craving that is just not helpful. Another word the translators use is rejecting. So Nekkhamma is the freedom that comes from no longer needing to cling. Speaking of generosity, another dear friend of mine, Michael, he knew I was working on this talk, so he sent me this text this morning that he had made a note from something another great teacher, Ajahn Sucitto, recently said. And Ajahn Sucitto said, we don't really let go until it's easier to let go than to hold on. That's what Nekkhamma is about. We don't really let go until something in us knows that holding on is not going to make it any better. And I think we can experience this in formal meditation when maybe your mind is racing, overthinking, planning, worrying, whatever is really like, it feels like it's in the way. But it's possible to see all that and to not engage in the content of all these stories. It's as if then your mind from a place of wisdom is saying, no, thank you. You're not pushing them away, or there's no aversion. And I remember once when we were practicing this in the middle school, this boy says, Bart, now I always tell myself, no thank you thoughts, I'll think about you later. And that's sweet. No thank you thoughts, I'll think about you later. That's Nekkhamma. You see the swirl of it all, the restlessness, whatever. But you kind of, there's something in you that engages and goes, no thank you. And that does make the heart a little more steadfast, firm, and confident, as the Buddha said. And so I want to kind of suggest a few practices on how to bring this about, because it sounds great, right? Oh, my mind is racing, and I just say, no, thank you. I think the very first step in a concrete way, and it's going to be part of your homework, FYI, is to go, what is this right now? That you can start to identify the experience you're having in this moment. Could be overthinking or worrying, sleepy, angry. So that's the very first step in this process of letting this renunciation happen. See if you can make a soft mental note. And you could try it right now. If you were dropped the question as you pause in this very moment, what is this experience? Just see what arises. Sometimes I'll have a word, like if I was to speak out loud right now, there's feeling settled. The next step, after you've identified the experience you're having right now, and it changes quickly, I know, is to explore how does it feel in the body? How is this right now physically manifesting? And so to start the process of renunciation or releasing or letting go, all like synonymous. I'm using them synonymously. Start with a pause, just recognizing what is this experience that's predominant, and feel it in the body. Really use the body. The body will be here. It's the most important thing in this process. So start with the what and then the how, but not why. The why energy pulls us into more thinking. The why energy feeds our attachment to figure out something off most of the times. Why am I feeling this way? How am I going to manage this? If you notice that that's up for you in your meditation, make a note of that too. The one I often do is like this, trying to figure it out. Or I'll go, oh, managing is here. Managing. And you need that dedication and patience then to drop into the body. How does managing feel in the body? Or restlessness? Last week I was teaching a retreat with Nekkhamma, and she's very versed in the Zen teachings. And what she kept saying on that retreat is that in Zen they say, don't abandon the body. Don't abandon the body if you want to see the way. Our body is a key element in the process of letting go. Just see if you can feel the body right now as best as you can. Sometimes when I do that, I notice that I haven't been feeling it, and I'll go, oh yeah, I have this body again. That's the pause. That's the remembering. Another concrete way to practice with, to familiarize yourself with renunciation, is to notice what the Buddha calls awareness release. It sounds like two strange words, but awareness release. Sometimes, simply by being aware of the body, it brings about a release. Just check right now, when you become mindful and feel your shoulders, does anything shift? Or how you're holding the jaw, does anything shift? Or the belly? Sometimes the body simply lets go of tension when we become aware of that tension. How does the release of physical tension feel? That's pursuing the theme of renunciation. And even with chronic pain or with experiences in our body that we don't maybe like feeling, it's really interesting to see if you can explore the areas around it or other parts of your body and see if an awareness release might happen there. But awareness release can also happen with mind states. I had a busy week last week. I came back from this retreat that I taught, and I had to catch up on emails and blah, blah, blah. I had a wonderful board meeting, a lot of things. And I could tell in my meditation that my mind was so restless. I couldn't really do no thank you. But I did stop and go, oh, what is this? And you know, a word that came to mind that I recently learned from my friend Stephanie, whom I was practicing with on Tuesday, I think, or Monday. She said, when your mind is constantly thinking and planning about the future, it's nexting, just like texting, nexting. And I loved it. I was like, okay, this is exactly that was the answer that came in my mind is oh yeah, nexting. And sometimes the word is just so good that I go, oh yeah, next thing. And I had to think of Stephanie again. And I just relaxed. And it was not that I relaxed, it was the fact that it was recognized accurately. That's how the Buddha would say, recognize accurately. It's like this. Next thing. And an awareness release happened. I could settle more. And then, oh yeah, no thank you. No thank you, restless thoughts. I'll think about you later. Let me come home to the body and feel a physical expression of nexting. All these little teeny tiny rewards of letting go, of renunciation. And I do know that renunciation feels different as the word as letting go. Someone in the chat said renunciation feels so like total, and letting go feels moment to moment. And I think that letting go moment to moment is what we're talking about. So are you ready for your suggested homework, huh? Twofold. See in your practice or in life too, when you pause and something is up for you, to remember awareness and then go, what is this? Name it. See if you can frame the experience and check how it feels in the body. And then notice if the awareness release might happen. It doesn't always happen. But that's the invitation to really recognize moments of release. But the Buddha said something else in that teaching to Tapusa that really caught my mind too. He told this man, I have not seen the drawback of sensual pleasures. I've not seen the danger of sensual pleasures. Now, why would he say that? I think maybe it comes because of his personal conditioning, because the legend has it, I think until he was 27 or 25, I forget. This was one of the most pampered beings in ancient India. Everything he wanted, he could get. Any craving satisfied. You know what he called sensual pleasure sometimes? The beauties in the world. Isn't that cute? The, visible forms, the beauties in the world. Pleasant sounds, the beauties in the world. Aromas, physical touches, thoughts, emotions. And he said that these beauties in the world, and I'm quoting the Buddha, are agreeable, pleasing, and charming. And they can be very gratifying. So here the Buddha's not making any statement that they're wrong. As a matter of fact, that's what the monks sometimes asked him. And he said, no, don't be afraid of pleasure. It's actually, especially also joy, is an awakening factor. It wakes us up. It's a key element in life and in meditation practice. And then he points to the joy that comes from a peaceful mind that's not clinging. But it's, of course, the craving for pleasure, being attached to pleasure, having to have that pleasure again and again. That's the danger of these beauties in the world. And these beauties in the world can be so addictive. Like a longing or a hunger for pleasure, or not wanting the pleasure to end. It could be as simple as just feeling a little bored and just like this, like wanting to reach out to something. I so often then reach to the phone, especially if it's near me. And then also just noticing that it's hard to put the phone down sometimes. Or that episode I'm watching, that bag of potato chips, but it's really good cheese, whatever it is. In those moments, letting go can feel like this sheer drop off that the Buddha said. But the craving and the attachment and clinging to pleasure is one of the root causes of all our stress. The Buddha called it a noble truth. Catch that one. Really catch that one. And by catching, I mean, note it. Oh, craving is here. Not wanting to let go is here. How does it feel in the body? familiarize yourself. You don't have to figure out why you're craving or what does have to do with your childhood. No. What is it? How does it feel? And in this way, we learn about the dukkha of being clinging to pleasure. So that's another an important part of learning about letting go is to notice where we hold on. So I want to ask you a powerful question, just to pause for a little bit and to reflect on is, what are you clinging to? Or what would be something really hard to let go of? It's, what's arising for me in this pause is that sometimes this renunciation is about stepping out of what's painful or not helpful. But sometimes we're also forced to let go of things that were so helpful and beautiful in our lives. I think, especially when you are grieving, I'm not sure if letting go is the right word, or even renunciation for that matter. The word that helps me more when I feel moments of grief is letting be. It's as if in letting be, we find a little more ease in dealing or holding a loss or holding the disbelief that this happened to me. But here too, you can still do that same practice. That's simple but not easy to identify, oh, mourning might be here. Grief might be here. How is it manifesting in the body? And I think that one of my favorite lines to help me hold something that feels like a loss or that's painful, I often tell myself, this right now wants to be seen. This wants to be seen right now. I'll say that a few times in my own mind. And sometimes even when I can pause and I might be having an argument with someone in my family. Or they're really not in a good space. This wants to be seen right now. And when you do it in meditation practice, then there's no need to figure out why. There's no need to manage it. Not even the need for finding something else to not be with it. I think that's a great form of letting be that might condition a letting go. As Anna was saying in the chat, when I'm experiencing grief, oh, it just went away. When I'm experiencing grief, simply allowing feels helpful. But I think it still fits in this whole suggestion of the Buddha to pursue what does renunciation and letting go mean? Let me just bring in the words of Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, a great Tibetan master. This is what he said about renunciation. Renunciation implies the strong wish to free oneself, not only life's immediate sorrows, but the seemingly endless cycle of conditioned existence. With this renunciation comes a heartfelt weariness and a disillusionment with the endless quest for gratification, the endless longing for approval, for profit, and for status. So here, this renunciation is more like an aspiration to be free from the endless searching and the longing for things to be in the way we want them. So with renunciation comes wisdom. And wisdom really knows this difference between how gratifying the beauties in the world are, and there's nothing wrong with them, and there's a knowing that they can be dangerous. And I really like it when in my mind I can go, no, thank you, not right now. Even when I'm in an argument with Chantal, my wife, and I have the best counter argument to kind of show that I'm right, but I don't. No, thank you. Or when you tell yourself, no, thank you, that's enough. Another word the Buddha sometimes used that can come with when we familiar ourselves more and more with renunciation is disenchantment. Have you ever had like products that you really wanted and the commercials worked on you, and then you have it and you never pay attention to them anymore? Disenchanted. And then I open up my closet right here and I go, oh my. Like yesterday, I had this great opportunity to see a phenomenal opera with my dear friend Corey, who's also serving on our board. And I looked in the closet because I thought I had to dress up a little. And I found the jacket I hadn't worn in like 12 years, my favorite chic jacket that I really needed to have at the time. But the moths or something had ate the whole thing out. And it was just so easy to let it go. And then I had another jacket, and Corey thought I looked great. And then I witnessed some of the most powerful art expressions I've ever witnessed in my whole life. This opera called Innocence that talks about a school shooting in Helsinki and how that all led to be, how that came to be, and how that had such huge reverberations for so many people. And the most poignant moment in that whole opera for me was when a mother was kind of engaging with her daughter who had deceased. And the daughter told the mom, please let me go. And you could hear a whole sigh in that huge theater. Renunciation is about knowing that there's freedom in not clinging. On a retreat that I taught, one of the students said that she had this great insight in being attached to her shame. And she said, all of a sudden, I go, what is this? And then she saw a trash bag, those black trash bags tied up. And then in her mind, she heard, I'm no longer picking those up, no longer picking up that trash. And she said that was exactly the frame that I needed to feel like holding on to this is not going to make it any better. I just want to repeat what Michael texted me this morning one more time as we close. So this is from this teacher, Ajahn Suchito, who says, we don't really let go until it's easier to let go than to hold on. Notice those moments when you realize, oh yeah, I no longer have to pick up that trash. I'm aware of the time, and I had so much more to say, but I think it's enough. Can let go. And Jennifer and I would love to invite you to kind of bring your voice into the community. And I was thinking, I may be asking you the same thing as the Buddha asked himself. How am I familiarizing myself with renunciation? Is there quote unquote trash you're no longer picking up? Or are there any other ways how you pursue this theme of letting go? Maybe even sharing something that you have difficulties letting go of. Just bringing that into community is a very powerful expression of generosity and honesty to yourself and to us. So feel free to share, but before doing so, just pausing for a moment so I can deeply thank you for your deep listening. Mm.
Thank you, Bart. That was wonderful. So I have one question because I was taking some notes and I remember you said there were two things for homework. And the one I got was, pausing and asking, what is this? And then check in with the body and notice if there's any release. But what was the second piece
That
of?
was it.
Oh, that was
That,
it. Those two things. Okay.
those two things. It's like,
Asking and then checking in. Got it.
especially the checking of the release.
Yeah.
And then also, please know that sometimes it doesn't release. And I actually felt a little disappointed at times where, like, huh. But then just notice the disappointment. That's what's the next thing that can be known. How does disappointment feel? So it's kind of a radical invitation also in being curious. And that helps when, you're a little sleepy. And I know that there in the Tibetan tradition,
Mhm.
there are monks and nuns and retreats actually that commit to just this question their whole life. Just keep on asking, what is this? What is this? But I would really encourage you to then not abandon the body. How does disappointment feel in the body? Restlessness. How does joy feel in the body? So to add that and then check. The second thing is to check, is awareness release present? Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. Well, there's lots of great comments coming in.
Yeah, you pick one.
I this one from Lisa is interesting. She says, letting go can come off as a command, which creates tension. I must let go. Letting be comes along with the ease of allowing, not striving. So sometimes, for especially type A New Yorkers, got to let go. Yeah. So
Yeah,
letting be, I thought that was really helpful.
I agree. And I think I see Carson nod, and he wrote something similar.
Hmm.
Letting be feels much easier than letting go. It allows the attached object to remain, not pushing it away, but simply acknowledging it. And that allows the attachment to decrease, although not to release. And so Carson is actually asking, what is the final step? And that brings to mind what Anna was saying in the chat earlier too, that this process of allowing, I think the final step is when you're seeing that the grip is loosening. I sometimes ask myself, can this be allowed? And especially also when it comes to pain, for example, the holding of pain becomes so differently when there's no longer or less of a aversion to it. And I think that was what my friend at the retreat was saying too, when she said, the shame, and these memories are still, ugh.
Mm.
Yet the shift happens in the way we're holding it. Sometimes we call that the attitude of the mind that changes as we keep on seeing this particular phenomena over and over again, but we're familiarizing ourselves with it.
Hmm.
Oh, thanks for picking that one, Jennifer. And thank you, Lisa and Karsten.
So Barbara had a comment. She says, response to grief, which is helpful to me, recognize the feeling of grief, work toward feeling grateful for the precious moments we had together, except I will likely feel this forever to some extent, but he was a huge part of my life and he will always be in my heart.
Oh,
Yeah, that
yeah.
kind of letting go is really very hard.
Yeah. And I think there for me, it's like these moments when you realize it is happening a little bit without me doing much.
Mhm.
And I also appreciate what you said, Barbara, except that I will likely feel this forever to some extent. I like that to some extent because it always might feel a little different in the moment. I was sharing with my friends at the board. I had a great insight on this retreat I was teaching. I realized that when we recognize things and name things, they become familiar. Even the Buddha used familiarize yourself, right? With renunciation. And that word is special in and of itself, family. So familiarizing yourself with the process of grief, I think is really helpful. So there is the familiar, but then I realized that even when I'm aware of something very familiar, the experience of it is unique
Mhm.
because the moment is always unique. And that's why I think that the grief, they'll be with us for the rest of our lives and it becomes familiar, yet the actual moment to moment experience of it is unique. And that sense of uniqueness, I think, is what meditation teaches us because we're constantly pausing to come back to the present moment's experience, which is unique. Thank you, Barbara. And thank you, Cheryl, too.
So many good comments. Um, David said, I incline toward acknowledgement rather than allow as a mode I aspire toward in wake of release. Receive and acknowledge. Yes, that's real. There's bad stuff, not allowing it, but acknowledging it. Good stuff, and
Hmm.
not cling, but definitely acknowledge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I don't know. I feel I feel somewhat entitled to cling to good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, well, it's good, so it's okay to be attached to good things. But
Right.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that can lead to suffering.
And I also think that what I appreciate about David's wisdom is to see for yourself with every instruction, even the ones that you might come up with yourself, are they helpful? Because, I once went to Joseph, my teacher, and I was asking him, Joseph, shall I do loving kindness? Shall I do more mindfulness of breathing? And he looked at me and he goes, whatever is most helpful, Bart, whatever works. Trust that you have some instructions under your belt. See what works. And I love that acknowledgement because I agree that allowing can feel like passive almost. It's like similar to when I always thought in my meditation in the beginning that I had to learn how to be okay with experience. But some experiences are just not okay.
Mhm.
But being with them is different. Can I be with them? So instead of saying allowing, maybe acknowledging works better for you, as David suggested. And just see it if when you drop that in your practice, acknowledge. And just notice if that might work, that there might be a release. Because that's ultimately what the Buddha is pointing to is that the sense of release from clinging is peaceful. Thank you, David.
Mhm. Ah, sorry, there's a lot. Oh, uh, Alina mentioned the sequence from Rick Hansen that he's taught, which is let be, let in, let go. Really accepting before striving to let go seems important. So
Yes.
it's that same, yeah,
Yeah. Thanks, Elena.
yeah.
Just see, maybe we could practice it right now. Just let be what's being known, let in, let go. And you know what you could do also, that I've learned from the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition? Become aware of the breath. And then with an inhale, you say something. And with an exhale, you say something. Breathing
Mhm.
in, letting in. Breathing out, letting go. Because I ultimately really hope that you feel invited to make the practice your own. And so that you really take the teaching of the middle way to heart. Sometimes in this, what's happening right now, kindness can be helpful. Sometimes more investigation can be helpful so that you kind of play with this practice, but make it your own. And thanks for sharing that, Elena. I see this from Corey, who just I spent this lovely evening with last night. Corey writes, I continually find that life so often uh, I continually find that life so often offers opportunities to let go, whether you want them or not. It seems that the growth arises from accepting the often long and difficult path of letting be. And I think that's why it's so helpful to pause sometimes and look back on things that, you might have noticed that the grip has loosened maybe just a little bit. Dear Jennifer, I'm aware of the time.
Yeah, I'm still so many wonderful comments. Yeah. So just please know that all of the comments are saved and reviewed and help further the teachings. And then Bart will close and then we will go out into breakout rooms. If you can stay for an extra 15 minutes and converse with your Sangha members, that would be wonderful. Did I forget anything, Bart? Oh,
Tell them about Joseph.
Joseph, in 2 weeks on May 10th, Joseph Goldstein will be here to practice with us and share Dharma. So I
Yes,
hope you all can make that. He's a wonderful senior teacher and one of Bart's teachers.
yes. Oh, thank you, dear Jennifer,
Thank you,
for
Bart.
stepping in so quickly. And also just want to again acknowledge that our dear Jessica is going through a lot right now. So I was thinking maybe to close, to just pause as a community and we see if we can all hold Jessica in our heart, who has lost a dear friend, struggling with a house that is overflown by water and no power. Maybe bringing in this feel of compassion, other beings whom you know are struggling, and this could mean including yourself. May our time together and our reflection on letting be, letting go, and renunciation, may it be a cause and condition for generosity and for love and for peace to arise. May there be peace. May there be peace. May all beings be liberated. Mm,